First of all, I'm not about to tell you how to turn cocaine into crack, right? I'm not gonna go there. Off the record, I'm 19 years old. I'm clearing damn near $1 million a month. I'm about to be the biggest drug dealer that you can become. Access is the key. So I partner with international narcotics guys and their operation. It's done in bulk all around the world. This thing was way bigger than I had ever imagined. The realization came that these guys are planning this assassination attempt. And it's either I make a move or he's gonna do something to me. This cannot be good. My name is Obie, Lamont Chambers. I grew up in a middle-class, upper-middle-class neighborhood in the suburb of Washington, D.C. I had loving parents. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I always got a D in behavior, right? And the D in behavior was because Obie just talks too much. Second grade, I remember them giving me an IQ test to see what was going on. And I remember that my math was on the 7th grade level and my reading was on the 8th grade level. That's when I discovered that I was pretty smart and I could pretty much handle everything they were throwing at me. When my parents separated, was around the age of 7 or 8, things went from pretty much picturesque, 3-car suburb family. My mom was a stay-at-home mom to where my mom had 2 or 3 jobs. We no longer had a car. We were on public transportation, and we really no longer had a home. We would travel to relatives' houses a lot. Money was getting very, very tight. It was a transition.
When my mother had those hard times, Obie was very emotional about that. I'm tired of struggling.
Eric and I are very close. After my dad was gone, Eric stepped in. He's always had my back and supported me.
My brother was my heart. He knew when he was around his brother, he knew he had backup. He knew he was safe.
By the time I was in high school, we had gotten back on track. Financially, things were going great, but you always remember the feeling of being poor. You know, things could go wrong again, just like they did before. To this day, that feeling doesn't go away.
That struggle turned him to a different person. He became more independent. He wanted to own something.
After that period, I just kept saying to myself, you know, whenever I get an opportunity, whether, you know, I'm gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever I'm gonna do, I wanna make sure that my mom and I, we're never gonna have to go through these things again. In high school, it wasn't very difficult to move between all the different cliques. I automatically got the nerdy kids because of my schedule in class. After school, I would try to hang out with the jocks and sports guys. And lunchtime and things like that, you could hang with the girls. It became a cool thing to be a cool kid and be smart at the same time. I was a little taller than most kids. So I was lying to everybody about age. So I got a chance to hang with guys older than myself, guys that I looked to for some advice on how to handle things. And that's how I met Frank.
It's been about 30 years I've been knowing Obie. We just connected and bonded.
Frank started off as my barber when I used to have hair. And
Obie was a very outgoing kid, playing, joking, you know, trying to hang out with the older guys.
He was a great barber. He was a better listener. Never passed any judgment.
Obie's the type gonna find a way to get what he want out of life. Obie's a survivor.
The very first time that I ever sold anything, it was basically just to be with the in crowd. And I felt like, you know, if I just hand a kid a bag of weed, you make $30 in the course of a day, It felt kind of liberating, right? You didn't ask your mom for any money, and it just starts from there. And then next thing you know, it becomes easy to do that. Throughout this period of time, I met a guy. I can't say his name, let's call him Mike. Mike was a guy that was around one of these neighborhoods in the inner city. Small time, nickel and dime guy, selling a bag of weed here and there. Nothing big, nothing bad. One day, I decided to hang with Mike. Mike, I didn't even know Mike had a car, but Mike had a car. He's like, hey, you can ride with me. We were at a ice cream truck, and Mike began to talk to this young lady. And another person comes up and says, hey, that's the guy right there. I can tell by his eyes. Mike had green eyes. And I just remember, pow, pow, pow. Gunshots ring out. People are shooting at me and Mike and everybody else. You can't tell where it's come from. And then Mike gets shot in his upper body. At that point in my life, never seen anybody get shot before. I'd never seen a gun. I'd never even seen any blood like that. Mike started running. I dropped my ice cream. I started running. Run behind bushes, everybody scattering, and then Mike kind of collapses. And he's like, hey, get me to the car. Mike is in the car, bleeding. As far as I know, he's bleeding out. At one point, I'm talking to him. Next minute, he's not saying anything. I'm probably doing 75, 80 miles an hour, and that is a 45-mile-an-hour zone. And my first thought is take him to the nearest hospital immediately. But Mike is constantly saying, don't take me to the hospital. Take me to my dad. I thought about it several times, like, you should just get out of here and run back to the suburbs as quick as you can, right? But here's a guy, that's in bad shape, so I can't leave him. So as we pull up to where he's telling me, there's a winding road down into his house. And we arrive. And I can't believe what I'm looking at. We arrive at this palatial mansion, and it's got a gate. And then there's a guard post. They were speaking a foreign language, what I would find out would be a dialect of Nigerian. And they had little earpieces, and they got weapons. And I'm saying to myself, who is this guy? We get to the house. They call a doctor for Mike. They head in one direction, and they take me off to another direction. I'm scared, intrigued, amazed. I'm in awe of what I'm seeing. I'm in awe of the type of house. And that was the surreal part, because we knew Mike as Mike, a guy around the neighborhood, may have the same clothes on a couple days in a row. But to see this, and then to look at the pictures on the wall, you see his family, artwork, and you could see the beautiful furniture. This is something out of the movies. As I was sitting in the pool house waiting, and that's when I get a chance to meet Mike's dad. He was well put together. He's about 6'5", and you just knew he had a presence about himself, that he was the guy. He was the guy that was in charge of everything. He thanked me for bringing his son there, and he presented me with an envelope. And you could feel that it was pretty much cash. And as I was walking to the door, I just turned around and I said to him, sir, I thank you, but I don't want to take this money. What I really would like to do or find out is how I can get all of this. I don't know what business you're in, but I'd love to learn how to be able to achieve this kind of stuff. I'm 16, and I just turned down free money. He was taken aback initially, and he cracked a smile, and he took the envelope back. He explained to me that I would be dealing with someone that was like a go-between. Many levels of separation from Mike's dad, maybe 3 or 4 levels down, and they said they were gonna contact me. That night, once Mike left my sight, I didn't see him for many years. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I knew whatever it was I was gonna get into. Maybe a couple of days later, I got a page with a phone number, and And you go to the payphone and you call the number back. They tell me there's a trash can on the corner. Funny enough, it was on Capitol Hill. And I'm supposed to go in the trash can and pick something out. So you're nervous. I got there about 10, 15 minutes early, and I see someone drop something in the trash can for me, and I went back and picked that package up out of the trash can. The test was a kilo of cocaine, powdered cocaine. It was to sell that in whatever capacity that I saw fit. Here I am, 16 years old. I don't really know anything about selling drugs. I don't really know anything about cocaine. And now I owe someone $16,500. And I've got 2 weeks to get it to him. At that point, I was all in. I was just a suburb kid. I know I'm in over my head, but you've already done it. And if you do it for 3 kilos, you can do it for 100 kilos. This thing was way bigger than I had ever imagined. So here it is. I have a kilo of cocaine. I don't know what to do with it, but I have it, and it's mine, and I owe on it. I don't know what, at this time, powder, crack, or I just know it's cocaine. And I don't know the processes and the things that it has to go through. So I need to take this to someone who does. And then that's when I take it to Reggie. Reggie was a good friend of mine. He proceeds to call a friend of his who can come and turn it from what we have to what's known as crack. So, first of all, I'm not about to tell you how to turn cocaine into crack, right? I'm not gonna go there. Off the record, it's a chemical process. No different than culinary levels of different types of chefs. You can use anything from, which is a type of chemical, you can use, it needs to formulate, it needs to, right? Keep in mind, these are tens of thousands of dollars here that we're dealing with. So, our first attempt, the glass cracks, and the cocaine flows out of the glass, down the drain, into the garbage disposal. $5,000 went down the drain within the first 10 minutes.
No, Margie, your cake didn't turn out so well because you misunderstood a term in your cookbook.
I haven't even made it past the first day, and I'm in trouble. We don't have a clue about any of this stuff now. At least I don't. They're supposed to. Turns out you gotta use, and then it becomes crack. You're gonna give me another call from the FBI, man. The second time around, we did it. We had turned powdered cocaine into crack, and now I have to sell it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I figured that Reggie would know since he was used to dealing with a little bit more than what I was. So we get some other friends. We kind of all hooked school for 4 or 5 days, and we went out and sold it. Little bits and pieces here and there. We're done, we have the money, there's some money left over, but I've got their money. And that's when I got a chance to sit down and talk to Mike's dad. And he began to explain to me the rules and regulations of being a part of this organization. They were powerful, obviously, and they had quantities, obviously. I learned that their operation, it's international, it's done in bulk. They deal in narcotics all around the world. These were business people. These were executives. You needed to own at least 2 or 3 suits, nothing flashy. You don't talk, you don't let people know what you do. And then finally, for me to be a part of this was to be considered a gift. The trust factor is there, the commitment is there. So now we have a problem. If they decide to give me what I'm thinking they might give me, which is large amounts of drugs, I don't have anywhere to sell it or any real team support to be able to go back to the international guys and say, I've got a place, I've got a team. So it didn't take me long to figure out I need to reach out to some professionals.
Drugs here are a profitable business. Even a small-time crack dealer can pull in $50,000 a year. Growing up in Potomac Gardens, it was hell. You had your killings, stabbings, people getting robbed, police shooting people. A lot of people didn't make it out of it. I was 13 years old when I got into the drug game.
Potomac Gardens was housing development that was the epicenter for open-air drug market. Millions and millions of dollars of drugs were sold there every single day. To be able to sell within Potomac Gardens, I need to speak to high-level inner-city guys, and they were heavy, not to be trifled with. I meet Kenny through some other friends. He had a cachet around there that I didn't have. He knew the temperature, he knew the individuals.
Obie came from what we call Maryland, not actually in Washington, D.C., Maryland. It's not that often for a Maryland guy to come in Potomac Gardens and say he want to do this and he want to do that. It's not going to happen.
It's almost a fear factor that drives you, faking it till you make it.
I think it was really brave.
I tell myself, if you can pull this off, earn that trust as well. You get access, and access is the key. I said to them, I'm interested in trying to make some extra cash, and I had some connections.
He had the gift of gab, and what I mean by that, he can talk a good game to anybody. And everybody, I like this kid. That's the first thing they say, I like this kid, you know?
So the guys in Potomac Gardens give me a test, albeit on a smaller scale. The test was to sell a quarter kilo of crack cocaine. So they gave me 4 days. I came back the next day. I hadn't sold any of it. I just took half of my profits from the other task and I paid them the next day, all of what I owed them. They were pretty amazed. After that meeting, I partnered with Kenny. The pipelines just opened up. From the international guys, it went from 1 key to 5 keys. And that's how the volume started.
That seems like a lot of drugs for a 16-year-old to be selling.
It is, but it isn't. This is the when crack was king era.
DC, back in the late 80s, early 90s, the crack hit real hard. It was an epidemic. People from all over was coming to get the drugs.
The customers, you would have anybody from a Capitol Hill congressperson.
You had all the government workers.
Your local TV news anchor.
Mothers, daughters, fathers, sons.
Woman or man, it didn't matter. Race didn't matter.
The postmen.
Daytime.
High class, middle class.
Nighttime, the morning.
From A through Z.
All day, all night, 24/7.
It was a drug haven.
Together, we was making around $10,000 a night.
I was just a suburb kid. I know I'm in over my head, but you've already done it. And if you've done it once, then you can do it again. And if you do it for 3 kilos, you can do it for 100 kilos. You kind of zone out and you go to this place where you don't see the detrimental things that go on. You just see a product, you see cash, and then it's finished. I didn't know that this thing was way bigger than I had ever imagined. This is the point where I decided to go full blast international, full blast inner city, balls to the wall. Let's become the biggest drug dealer that you can become. That fall, heading into maybe 5 or 6 months before graduation, I'm probably bringing in about $15,000 or $20,000 a week.
You know, I worked, I had money, and he didn't work. How's he getting money? I didn't pry too much. Less I knew, the better it was for me, you know?
We didn't have any signs of him dealing with no drugs. He was doing good in school. He was working at the IHOP. Everything he would do was top notch.
Most teenagers at that point don't even understand money, the concept of saving and money. I don't have the idea like I'm gonna save up 2 or 3 million and I'm gonna go do this and do that. It's just, I'm trying to make it out of high school.
Then when I found out he was in high school, I said, "You in high school? Come on, man. I can't be running with you like that." You know what I mean? I'm kind of harboring a minor. You know, I don't supposed to be out here with you like that.
I have 3 AP classes. I'm AP English, AP Physics, and AP History. I do a little basketball here and there, but my mom doesn't want me to play sports. Amongst everything else I was doing, I figured I'd give her that one, right? I want her to know that I was doing my schoolwork. I was in my books. My college plans are still on track. So right now, my focus is to get out of high school, pay for college, and just keep it moving from there. I would always try to prove myself because I wanted no one to find out that I was just this suburb kid and didn't understand the drug game. So I would try to fit in and have drugs on me and have something in my pocket. So this one particular time I had a bag of crack rocks, but they were like big, like 50 rocks, big chunks of crack. I was around one of the neighborhoods, kind of just hanging out. I reached my hand into a bag while some undercover officers were driving down the street, and they stopped, and my hand was in the bag, and then I got busted with my hand in the cookie jar, literally. And the next thing you know, I was in the back of a paddy wagon. That was probably the first and only time that I just boo-hooed like a baby. I'm facing a felony charge. So you have all these emotions and feelings running through your brain. Did you tell my mom? Does my mom know what's going on? Like, I knew I shouldn't have done it. It's not for me. Give me an opportunity to get out of this. I'm never doing this again. I get processed. They let me out on what's called a personal recognizance. So they let you out on your own. I didn't have a bond or anything, but I was charged with possession with intent to distribute. My mom wasn't made aware that I was arrested. I got arrested on a Friday. So I was incarcerated Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and let out on Monday. I told her I went somewhere for the weekend, which I did, but, didn't tell her exactly where. As it turned out, for the element, the game, the underworld, an arrest with no talking, no snitching or anything like that, that builds trust, that builds what they call street credibility. It's like a boost on a video game because I didn't say anything about the international organization. From that point on, I could write my own ticket. I can basically, ask for what I want. The flip side to that is it's detrimental to my education, to my future, because I finished high school, but I've got a record now. I've got a felony record. My whole life, I was supposed to be the doctor, the attorney, and be successful and use all of this high IQ that I had. And now it didn't matter what I scored on my SATs, what I was doing. All my college dreams at that point, they were like crushed. This is the point where I decided to go full blast international, full blast inner city, balls to the wall. Let's line up Goodfellas, let's line up all of the movies, let's watch them, let's take notes, and let's become the biggest drug dealer that you can become. 1991, I'm a year out of high school, but I'm clearing damn near $1 million a month. It's coming from international, it's coming from inner city. You start buying stuff, you buy clothes, buy a vehicle, concerts, Atlantic City trips. It's coming in faster than I can spend it, and I don't have a place to put it. I was stashing it at my girlfriend's house, unbeknownst to her. I was stashing it in her closet back where her teddy bears were. Actually, at one point in time, I started stuffing the teddy bears with the money. Needless to say, that wasn't a very good situation there. At this peak moment, at this time, there's tons of subterfuge going on, and to keep it up, believe me, it's a lot of pressure. You have to remember all your lies, because they can get convoluted after a while.
Some people play checkers. Obie plays chess, He's that type of person.
Everything is at this point in time, a script. I'm memorizing a script every single day and trying to keep every group from knowing my true identity. I've got 5 different lives going on that I've got to portray just to get through the day. A typical day at the peak of that time, I lied to my mom, so she thinks that I'm a college kid that also has some businesses. So I'm making some money, I drive a modest car. At 8:30, there's another Obie who gets into his 850 BMW with the $10,000 wheels to see some of the inner city guys.
When he came back to Potomac Gardens from Maryland, you know, his walk would change, his attitude would change, because you gotta be on point when you come in Potomac Gardens. Anything liable to happen.
While this was going on, the international narcotics guys began to see much more in me than the drugs. I'm starting to look into becoming an advisor, a fixer, and that's where the trips come in. I'm 19 years old. I'm meeting other teams, taking a look at their operations, flying over the Caribbean to South America, Australia to Zurich. And in addition to all of that, I have a girlfriend who works for the Department of Justice at the time. I'm walking to this chow hall with a shank in my leg. It's probably the size of my arm. And he turns around. And it's either I make a move or he's gonna do something to me. I live with my girlfriend. My girlfriend did not know I was only 19. When I met her, I told her I was about to graduate because she was about to graduate. But she was about to graduate from college. We go and meet government officials, sometimes at company events, and I'm looking at the Attorney General, Janet Reno, and I'm meeting judges, and I'm just saying to myself, Lord knows, please, I hope I don't see these people in court. It's an insurmountable amount of thought that you have to go into every single day to make sure that the same thing that you said yesterday is you're gonna say it again today. You could not forget that we were still in the murder capital, Washington, D.C., and there were a lot of moving parts that caused you to realize and brought you back down to reality that this is still a very ugly game and it has consequences. One particular day in Potomac Gardens, I'm sitting on a park bench talking to someone, and mind you, this is a big open air market, so there are hundreds of people out here. So while I'm talking to him and I turn, pow, I hear a gunshot. And I just feel all of this liquid on me. And I realized that the guy I was sitting there talking to had been shot in the head. The guy is just laying there in a puddle of blood, and he's dead. And I've got brain matter all over my body. The realization came that it wasn't just about the money and the power and the cars and the properties. There was also a grimy, dirty side where there were killings and families affected, and it brought things home. I realized that I need to get out. For the next 3 years, I'm constantly trying to figure a way out, but it doesn't happen. It can't happen overnight.
First time I knew Obie was selling drugs, it was around my birthday. Me and a couple of the guys, we was renting a limo.
Frank, one of my longtime friends, it's his birthday. There's a fight in town at the convention center. They're supposed to come get me.
Limo came, we sitting around, well, called them, no answer. Where you at? Where you at?
I get arrested that night. I was standing near a stash that the police picked up, and I was arrested.
So when I finally talked to him, he called me. I said, man, what happened? Yeah, man, I went around Potomac Gardens and they jumped out on us, man. I was like, oh, Lord, man, what are you doing with yourself, man? You know, stop, man, you know.
Our partnership ended around early '94. Obie got locked up. I was sad for a minute. I was sad, but, you know, I had to pick it back up just, you know, for him.
When Obie got busted, my mom, she was crying and whatnot because she'd been trying to keep him straight, you know, and she thought he was working. She was just, you know, kind of heartbroken.
At that point, there was no bond. There was no letting me go. I finally had to pay penance for what I had done. I was fighting the case and I was serving time while waiting for my sentence, but I was facing 15 to 45 years. My mom, my brother, when you have a lot of people who know how brilliant you might be and what you can achieve, and then you don't come through, you often find yourself feeling a little remorse. And I'm thinking, my life is over. I am now in a notorious prison, and you either represent or you get handled. One particular day, there was recreation. So I attempt to dunk the ball playing basketball, and a guy called foul. So he's like, it's my ball. And he snatches the ball out of my hand. I snatched the ball back from him. And he gets a little more aggressive and he takes it again. It's like I said, it's my ball. I'm like, all right, man, you can have the ball, not a big deal, you know. But I hear someone say in my ear behind me, don't worry, we're gonna get him later. Like, what are you talking about, get him later? Don't ask me how it started. That part blacks out. I don't even remember agreeing to anything like this. But these guys are planning this assassination attempt on this guy, and I just remember the guys pulling out this weapon. The safety pin has to be about this big closed, this big open. And they tell me, be careful not to cut yourself because there's rat poison on it. So when you stick him, he'll bleed out. Then I remember being strapped up with yellow page phone books and magazines to protect me from shanks. And I'm walking what felt like the Green Mile with a shank in my leg up to some guy, and I'm supposed to take this guy out. And I'm inching closer, and the guy doesn't see me, and I'm inching closer, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. It's an out-of-body experience is what I'm having. What happens if I stab this guy? I'm probably gonna do life in prison. But I'm not pretending anymore. I can't wimp out. I am in prison. And it's either I make a move or he's gonna do something to me. I saw like these black SUVs coming. I started thinking, cartel, organization, this cannot be good. I'm walking with a shank in my leg, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. In the process of me walking up to the line, two other guys come in that he's also beefing with. He gets stabbed right in the chow hall, probably 22 times, and they kill him. And at that time, somebody takes the weapon and goes one direction, someone grabs you, and you go out the other direction, because really everybody doesn't know what has happened. Honestly, at the time, you feel like, shit, better him than me. But in hindsight, it's like, how do you even get yourself in this position? Sitting in Lorton, experiencing all of this stuff, these surreal moments. A guy has just got killed. I've made all these millions of dollars. I have no peace. That is when I come to the determination that by all costs, I have to get out of this game. You have to make a move. I did 13 months, with 10 of those months thinking I was going to do 15 years, because that was what I was facing. 10 months in, the connections and attorneys and things started rolling, and next thing you know, I'm about to be free again. This is 1995 when I come home, and I tell myself, that's it. I'm turning in my resignation across the board, both to the international world and to the inner city guys. I'm done. Where do I sign? It's 1995, and my mom is moving to North Carolina. She's retiring, and I wanted to go kind of be closer to my mom, kind of keep an eye on her, and down south I went.
When Obie came to North Carolina, he was more business-minded. It was none of the illegal drugs. Everything he had done since the time he came out was legal, and he was doing well.
I had various businesses. I had a contracting business, valet business.
We had a detail business called Full Effect. But me and him had that business together. I had a lot of customers, and their business was legit.
Next thing you know, he's building custom homes in Charlotte. Like, how in the hell he get into custom homes?
And the real estate was doing well because he was getting $1 million houses.
He opened up another company. I'm like, what you doing now? Selling drywall. I'm like, drywall? How'd you get into that?
Everything he was doing was working.
He's always recreating himself.
I'm killing it. Businesses are going well. Everything's legit. Everything's above board. And then I meet the girl of my dreams, Mazda. I meet Mazda at like a corporate mixer. She'll tell the story different, but I think she dropped her sweater on purpose.
I had a cardigan, and it was on a chair, and it fell.
I picked it up.
And he starts talking to me. He kind of gave off that player mentality of like, hey, I'm the man. He was suited and booted, so he had his tie and everything, really nice, very businesslike. Thought he was very charismatic, outgoing, personable.
And Mazda is like a quiet little firecracker. I don't know how you can be quiet and be a firecracker, but that's the way she is.
He shared the same interests as I do with playing golf. So I thought that he would probably be a good golf partner. He ain't bad looking at, you know, it's cute.
Times have changed, and I'm at the country club playing golf now, and that's all she knew. That's the only world she had heard of. That's the only world that we talked about.
We progressed very quickly in our relationship. We moved in together 6 months after that. So I'm down this tract of, you know, the American dream.
Everything is going great. I've got this new life, got a new woman, a new place, a new person. And then I get arrested.
My girlfriends and I wanted to do a spa day, right? And the masseuse was working on me, and I could hear the vibration of my phone just going off constantly. And I'm like, man, this better be good, because this is a good massage. I see that I had several missed calls, so I ended it with the girls, and I called Obie's brother, Eric, and he's like, Maja, you gotta get here. I walked in our apartment, and Obie wasn't there. And there were about 6 agents with these jackets on, and they have DEA on it.
They said, we have a search warrant to do his house. I said, well, I need to see the search warrant.
The only thing I could think of was, what the fuck did he do? What did he do? It's not me. So what did you do?
I'm saying, damn, what is he busted for? He was doing everything, everything was right.
I found out Obie was arrested.
Why would an innocent guy with everything going for him and various businesses get arrested? I'll tell you what, let's rewind a little bit. I had become part of a co-op that invested into marijuana grow houses. The medicinal marijuana opportunity came because we had good information that politically it was about to be brought up, and there was a chance that the bill could pass. So we wanted to invest in that opportunity. So while it was cheap, we bought up warehouse space, and we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on what they call grow equipment. We wanted to make sure that when that opportunity came, we were gonna be ahead of it. But I had partners, and these guys have gotten themselves involved in cocaine, and they weren't very good at it. They wound up having a debt, almost $1 million, to the cartels. The cartels just don't include one person who owes the debt. It's everybody who owes the debt. I'm included in that pool. So we agree that the only way out of it is to pay off the debt. So now I'm taking these warehouses that were supposed to be sitting dormant until things were legitimized, and we've got to put it in effect before the laws turned in our favor, and we don't have all day to do it. So guess who's in the weed business now? I've got to go to Cali. I've got to take an expedited course on marijuana to learn how to grow it and become a master grower. We turned 60,000 square feet of warehouses into grow shops. Things were going so well. We were able to pay off the debt 4 to 5 months, 6 months after we got going. And we were supposed to stop. But Now we're all in, chips pushed to the middle of the table. And we keep going 2 or 3 more years until I'm at the warehouse. I'm standing out front. Keep in mind, this warehouse is filled with thousands of plants worth millions and millions of dollars. And I saw like these black SUVs coming from the left. Then you look to the right, and I saw these other group of cars coming from that direction. I started thinking, cartel, organization, combination of the two. This cannot be good. I'm at the warehouse. I'm standing out front. As these cars are coming, as these groups are coming, I just remember hearing the feds say, Obie, get on the ground, it's over, just get on the ground. And there was a relief that came over me because it wasn't the cartels that were there. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6 any day. I was charged with manufacturing and possession with intent to distribute. When I came out for the arraignment, I'm coming through with my orange jumpsuit and I'm chained up. It's a very humbling experience because there's your family or your girlfriend at the time shaking her head too. She was just like, and I was doing the same thing. Like, sorry. And they're gonna read these charges off. Not just the current laundry, but all the dirty laundry from the past is about to be aired.
They just listed all these charges as long as my arm against him. Things like money laundering, a whole lot more than just possession and, you know, intent to distribute. I sit there and I'm like, Majda, what happened? How could I have not seen the signs, right? The typical signs of what a drug dealer or a gangster would do. Like, was he that good? After the arraignment, I had to ask myself, do I want to be with this guy? I really had to do some soul searching about that. I wanted to understand his side of the story. And I did. And I felt like this was a time that he needed me the most. So we were just like, well, fuck it. We're gonna be together.
To be honest, I didn't think I was ever coming home. But, you know, it's not always as it appears. So I go in, facing 20 years. I was #1 on the list, which means that you are the person. The partners, what they call co-defendants, begin to basically flip the script on each other. I got bumped off of #1. I'm only facing 3.5 years. We get into court, we wrestle a little bit, and that turns to 20 months. I do 18 of the 20 months. My company that I have now is called the Exigency Group, and we're a strategic advisory firm. We concentrate on companies and organizations' brands and reputation, and help athletes, sports organizations, corporations, nonprofits facing charges, or you're facing SEC, a violation or an investigation. It's something that requires immediate attention, something that has happened with drama. We all know that I was the drama king. Through all of this, I learned that I had this potential all the time to do what I'm doing now. I just needed to focus it. I'm just glad that it turned out the way it did.
Is this when you retired for good?
Yeah, I was retired for good from the first time around, right? Let's just make sure we set the record. I was retired for good the first time around. But because of some unscrupulous business partners, I got pulled back in. But yeah, I was retired again the second time around.
And do you think that he's totally done?
Oh yeah, he's fucking done, okay? He is done.